Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Michael from Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone.
Yes, no guest this week because unfortunately we had to pull out at the last minute. These things happen, so what can you do? Also, I want to apologise if my voice sounds a little weak at times. I think I've just recently contracted a cold, so yay, fun.
Yeah, I sympathise with that. I had my first full week in school last week, and new student flu is horrid. I thought freshers flu was bad, but when you're around 1,500 school children and you can't avoid them because you're a teacher, it's just like, oh god, you're going to catch everything. But I've broken the back of that now, and unfortunately my colleagues are the ones that are off ill, which means I can't start teaching yet.
Oof.
Yeah, so I've got an entire week's worth of lessons just been, unfortunately, cancelled because I can't take cover lessons. But oh well, that's the way of the world. And here we are.
Indeed. So, in the news this week, let's start with the big one, Blood of the Phoenix.
Yep, this is the Eldari box set. We knew it was coming. We'd seen Jane Zar, I think, before the last show, and Drazhar came out the week after this show, because we were speculating whether it was going to be Drazhar or Aha, and we find out it is Drazhar.
Much to my disappointment, with his massive head and tiny hands.
I really do like the model, though. It's not the best model ever, but I don't know, maybe I just like classic hero poses, and I really like that pose.
It's not so much the pose I find the problem, it's the proportion of the proportions seem way off. He has the baby proportion. Like, if his head was a little bit smaller, I'd be fine with it. But it's just as it is at the moment, his head looks way too big for his body.
It didn't stick out to me when I first saw it. I kind of get what you mean, but I admit, I first saw the model when it was revealed. I was like, oh, cool. That looks pretty awesome. Next. And I was happy. But that is not all that comes with Psychic Awakening and Blood of the Phoenix. Sorry, I can't call it Psychic Awakening anymore. So, the boxed set that we are getting contains, just let me load up the article, Drazhar and Jane Zar, obviously, as well as some Howling Banshees and some Incubi, 5 of each from the new kits. You get a Viper, a Falcon?
I think it's a Falcon, yeah.
I think it's a Falcon. 5 Hellions, 5 Scourges, and a Venom, who can carry literally only the Incubi and Drazhar. So, I think this is a win for Drukhari players everywhere, because Hellions and Scourges are niche, but also really cool miniatures, and the Incubi are badass, whereas the Viper and the Falcon, I don't get that. Like, why has the Drukhari got 2 more fast attack units and a transport, and the Eldari got 1 fast attack baby gunship that probably falls apart in 10 seconds?
Hell if I know. It is worth pointing out that we are recording on the 11th of October, so by the time this episode comes out, the box set would already been available to purchase or pre-order at the very least. The one thing that confuses me is that a lot of American dealer sites are saying that this set will be sold at $230, which seems exceptionally overpriced.
It does.
Considering that the other, starter box sets, like Tooth and Claw, Wrath and Rapture, Shadow Spear, they were around about $135? About £95, something like that?
Yeah, most box sets are about £100 UK these days. I remember the days when they were about half that. Assault on Black Reach cost me 60 quid.
I remember when they were 40. Shows how old I am.
No, but it also shows how quickly the prices have inflated.
Yes.
But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about.
No.
Yeah, I feel like that number is exceptionally high. The only thing I can think of as a potential excuse is if the campaign book and the lore book are both found within the box. We know that we're getting a campaign book in there. That's in the unboxing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't suggest that Phoenix Rising, the sort of Psychic Awakening Book 1, is in there. Now, if it were, I'd understand why the price was a bit more inflated.
But even then, $230 would still seem a bit much. I mean, $180, I can imagine, if it was that plus the book. That seems a bit more reasonable, but $230 seems way too much. I've seen some people trying to say, oh, it's because it has 3 vehicles, or oh, because it has, 2 characters in it, to which I point out pretty much, some of the more recent box sets, like, Death Mask, that had Eldrad Ulfran in it, named character, £95. That also had, 2 vehicles in it. I think it was like a Viper and a Dreadnought. For starters.
Yeah, at some point that logic does start to fall apart. We will see what it is, or you will know what it is by the time you're watching this video. We're speculating at this time.
We could be completely wrong, but, these things happen.
Yes, exactly.
The power of hindsight.
Yeah, and third-party sources always take with a pinch of salt, because sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, and sometimes they're just trying to make a bit of profit for themselves. It varies by source.
I mean, it could be just, the aspect of a price, of a particular bundle. Like, you get this box set plus, I don't know, a start collecting box in that price or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. We will see, or you will already know.
Yes.
But probably the more interesting thing for Remini, as not Eldari players, is Phoenix Rising, which is the Psychic Awakening Book 1, which I'm assuming has got some lore in it.
I would assume so. I assume it'd be kind of like a mini Vigilus in a way.
Yeah, so the article they talk about is just about the rules benefits, which is they are giving successor tactics and whatnot to Drukhari and Craft Worlds. Cabals, Witch Cults, Covens, and Craft Worlds. So, luckily, they haven't just decided Space Marines get all the shiny stuff, screw everybody else. I'm very pleased about that. So I'm very pleased to see that the Eldari are going to get some more customizability, because it means that everybody else should as well.
Mm.
In terms of what's going on, there's 22 Craft World attributes, some stuff and some stratagems and some abilities, and all sorts of stuff, and different Cabalite obsessions, and Witch Cult obsessions, and Coven obsessions, and you can read it yourself, I suspect, if you want all the rules features, aka, I don't know what they mean because I don't play either of those armies, I'm sorry.
Suffice to say that it's all Eldrad Ulfran's fault in some way.
Probably. But, yeah, I think it's good that we're going to get all this stuff, and I'm very interested by the lore developments, I really am. Because I believe the Phoenix Rising but also contains the Iliad index from White Dwarf.
Ooh.
So if you want the rules that were in White Dwarf for your Vrain, the Vizark, and the Incarn and their stratagems and stuff, that's going to be in there, which is obviously very useful. So yeah, I just want to know, because Psychic Awakening has been basically GW's big selling point for the end of this year for Warhammer 40,000. Obviously, Sigmar's been crazy busy with cities and war clans, and Ossiarch are on their way and all that stuff, but 40k has very much gone all in on Psychic Awakening, and they've got to get this first book right. So what the heck is going to be in there?
Knowing some people, it'll probably be a Primark.
Some people would say that, and with the whole Fulgrim majig, and we know it's an Eldari Civil War.
Yeah.
And we know it's tied into the Inari somehow. And we know it's tied into this Psychic Awakening event. Those 3 things, well, 2 of those things work very clearly together, that being the Eldari and the Ynnari. And the Ynnari and the Psychic Awakening kind of go together because Yvraine's Awakening sort of kicked off 90% of Gathering Storm. So, yeah, how is this going to affect the rest of the galaxy? That's just what I want to know.
Part of me's thinking, will this tie into that one bit of lore from the Thousand Suns Codex, where after Araman learns that, hey, Yvraine can, reverse the rubric, and now he's pretty much launching a full-scale invasion of Khemora.
That would be cool.
I wonder if it'll tie into that, because that would be an interesting plot development, to actually have a campaign, the Thousand Suns against Drukhari, invasion of Khemora, blah, blah, blah. That would actually be really
I feel
cool.
like that's a campaign box in and of itself. That's a box set in itself.
Which will hopefully get us a new Astral Effect model. One can dream.
Yeah, but the fact we've already got a Drukhari box set with Blood of the Phoenix makes you think we're not going to see it.
It's never stopped all the Space Marine boxes, though, has it? Let's be honest. But I take your point. Xenos aren't as popular as Space Marines.
Yeah. I feel like that if they do the invasion of Khemora, that will happen off-screen. In air quotes. That will happen off-screen. In terms of what I want to happen, I don't even know. I kind of want Drazhar to be Arha, as they've been hinting at from time to time with who Drazhar really is. I kind of want to see if one of them dies.
Yeah, but the thing of the whole Drazhar Aura thing is, like, they've kind of written it in a way where they physically can't be the same person.
They'd have to do a little bit of sneaky retconning to make it stick.
Considering that, Ahra was last seen, in late M41, and Drazhar made his first appearance at the latest M38.
That's not to say he couldn't take off his war suit, go don the Phoenix armor that he's got in his back pocket, but that's a point.
Hang on, I'm pretty sure with Phoenix
I know it's rubbish, I know. But they're going to have to do something if they want that to be a thing. I'd like it to be a thing, but I appreciate that it's been very difficult for them to do.
Yeah. Also, I'm very annoyed about the fact that Drazhar no longer has his really cool praying mantis blades. He doesn't have those anymore. I am sad. Just generic-looking swords now. Sad.
Fair. We'll see, I suppose. And hopefully, once we have Blood of the Phoenix, or more accurately for us, Phoenix Rising in our hands, we'll get a bit of setup as to where we're going next, because this Eldari Civil War, I assume, is to sort of bring everybody under the Ynnari's banner, because...
Apart from Vect.
Well, yes, because he's a living muse now. But I feel like they're going to go down the route of, this is what, as one of the two combatants will die, Yvraine will resurrect them, and I'm going to guess that will probably be Drazhar, because the Phoenix Lords play by their own rules anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure, but I think if I were to predict an ending, it'll be Janezar kills Drazhar, Yvraine resurrects Drazhar, and the Incubus cult sort of realise, oh, flip, you mean business, don't you? And sort of some of them quietly fall in line. I don't know, we'll see. And what consequences that will have, goodness knows, I'm not a writer.
Because out of all the major Drukhari characters, only one has joined Yvraine. That was Lilith Hesperax, wasn't it?
Lilith definitely has. That's hard to say fast. Lilith definitely has. I don't recall any of the... Actually, the Homunculi have absolutely not signed on. They're the only faction for whom no one has signed on.
Urian Rakov isn't really doing anything, is he?
Yeah, but I think the sort of point is they don't like the Ynnari mindset because it requires them dying, and they are really, really not keen on the whole dying part. I know there's a lore reason why the Homunculi aren't in the Ynnari. I don't recall off the top of my head, though. There is a piece of lore somewhere, and I know I've seen it, because I've mentioned it in the lore video, that the Homunculi have not signed on with the Ynnari at all. And I think it has to do with the whole dying versus masters of life and death part. That the Homunculi either see the Ynnari as stealing their business, or as just doing something they really are not keen on doing, that being die.
I've just now got this image of all these Homunculi just seeing the Ynnari walk past and just going, "They took your jobs!"
No, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Yeah, so that will be on pre-order this weekend and will be available to actually purchase and be in shelves next week, I think, because that's how these usually work.
Yes, speaking of pre-orders that have already sold out, the Primaris action figure, that has come and gone.
Yeah, there were only 9,000 available, and they're gone.
Only? I mean, it looks like a small number, but in fairness, that's pretty much the run you get with, most sort of, high-end collectible action figures these days anyway, in fairness. So,
I mean,
it's not... Considering, with some toy shipments, you get like 4 toys per case, and one of those toys is, the chase figure, as it were, and you only get around 9,000 of those in total.
Fair enough. Just for context of how quickly GW products sell out, how many copies of the Horus of the Siege of Terror limited editions and stuff were available on that pre-release package? How many copies were available there? Because they saw that nothing. Anything. The
limited edition Siege of Terror Horus Heresy novels, there's about 2,000 each, and they sold out in 7 minutes.
Yeah, so the appetite for GW product is definitely there. So I understand why they're gone.
Though, to anyone who has pre-ordered your Primaris figure, you're going to be in for a long wait, because it says will be dispatched within 250 days. So
for those who can't do the quick maths, is about 8 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will admit, I not got the action figure. I didn't really fancy it, and it was gone before I even realised it was there. But
so it's going to be at the point, they're going to start delivering them when people forgot all about them. It's like, what the hell is this? I didn't order anything. Oh, it's this thing from last year.
Yeah, though I will fully admit I actually did buy one of the Funko Pops. I did that.
Which one?
The basic intercessor.
Ah, fair enough.
Because I wanted a figure to use in my tutorialis videos, and also because it's a fun thing to take into classrooms for doing demos. So when I'm demonstrating gravity, I can do it through having a Primaris Space Marine sat on a table rather than just some random object, because that will be more fun.
Fair enough.
I think it cost me $10.99. I'm not going to complain about it. And before you ask, I would have probably bought the Blood Angel, but there wasn't one in my GW.
Sorry, we've only got Space Wolves.
It was pretty much I considered the Dark Angel for a second, but then I reevaluated my life choices and realised I was doing something very, very silly, and I bought the Ultramarine. Yes, I will still rip on I've never made it unclear that I'm not a fan of the Angels and the Wolves. I've never been unclear about that. But while we're on the topic of angels and moving on to things I actually like, let's talk about Blood Angels, and that means it's time to talk about the Black Library Weekender.
Oh, yes. So this is happening on I think it's the 9th and the 10th of November. Can't remember where it is exactly, but yeah, a whole bunch of seminar special guests. I think we briefly talked about it in the last episode, I think. But now we actually have a list of products you can actually order there earlier, in fact. So the first of which is one we already knew about, not talking about Blood Angels just yet. We're talking about the
9th of
Sabbat
November in
Crusade.
Nottingham Belfry Hotel, by the way, sorry.
Yes. So firstly, Sabbat World's Crusade. Oh, this looks very nice.
It does. It's basically a updated edition to sort of retcon anything that got changed halfway through, I think.
Pretty much, with a whole bunch of, new stuff added and new art, etc. Also has a nice little amount of merchandise you can get with it as well, like, a bunch of, Sabbat World coasters. The regimental badges look very nice as well, though, I have to admit. There's a nice little presenter's box and stuff. And the big map of the Crusade, which looks like it's printed on leather. Judging by the rolled up version of it. Like embossed leather.
It's probably not real leather.
It's probably pleather or something like, faux leather, but it has a leather effect.
And it says it was drawn in 703 M41 by Hofstell of Balhant, with reference to Balfour's Cartorum Stellaris, the Mappa in Hava, and the Crusade something of Udesh. I can't quite read that, and someone who speaks about World's Crusade will probably know exactly what that meant. But yes.
I showed all this to Oculus Imperia, and he pretty much was like, enjoy, to put it mildly.
It is very, very pretty, and I never say no to more maps. Like, the maps we get as part of Siege of Terror have been gorgeous, and this is just a ginormous win.
Oh, yeah. This will be something that looks absolutely gorgeous if you have it, framed or something.
Yeah, I think that is something you would put on your wall, and everyone will be utterly confused by it, but it would look gorgeous. And I could honestly see, who are the badges? There's the Tanith, the Roain Deepers, the Vitria Dragoons, the Volperne 50th, and then I think that's just the Sabbat Worlds one in general. Genuinely, you could get away with just wearing those if you wanted to. Obviously, you wouldn't, because they're almost the equivalent of, historical medals that you get in real life. So you wouldn't, but you kind of would, and you'd get away with it.
Yeah. Next up, now we can go on to the Blood Angels. Darkness and Blood, the big Spears of the Emperor type release in the big box set, which has... It's bloody gorgeous, I have to give it that. It has a limited edition version of the novel, a journal, a set of dice with dice bag, a metal bookmark, a sand timer, a art print, and some coins and something else. Have I got everything, or is that it?
Print, bookmark, sand timer, pin,
journal,
coins, dice. That's a journal, the Dante thing. I wasn't sure if that was like a reprint of Dante or something.
No, it's a journal.
Yeah, it is a journal.
Yeah.
The book itself with an absolutely stunning cover. It is absolutely stunning.
It's like the Sanguinor posing, and underneath him it's like Mephiston.
Well, it's Dante rather than the Sanguinor, but yeah.
Well, I thought it was a Sanguinor because of the big feathery wings.
It's the Ax Mortalis.
On the actual cover of the book?
Yeah, Sanguinor has a sword. Dante has an axe.
Oh, yes, of course. Silly me. But it gives you a nice little representation of this is God and this is the devil kind of aura to it.
Yeah, and so Darkness in the Blood, which is what this book is the sequel to The Devastation of Baal. It is by Guy Haley, but Guy Haley writes out Blood Angels really, 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 really well.
Yeah, and so I have no worries about this because he has proven with Dante and Devastation that those Blood Angels books are really good. So I have high hopes for this one.
Yeah, and it pictures Dante as the Warden of Imperium Nihilus, and it also sort of suggests that the Blood Angels are having more and more Black Rage issues in this new era, which I believe is in tune with what the Codex has been saying. I admit I don't have the Blood Angels Codex to check, and I love the fact that Mephiston is featured as near to front and centre as he can be. Because
I think Darius Hinks actually said that this was written in conjunction with another book that's coming up later on this list.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, but Mephiston did have a really leading role in Devastation of Baal, in that he was trying to stop Cabana from being summoned and yada yada yada.
Yeah, he was basically the guy who was focused on for the entirety of the story's B-plot.
Yeah, he was the B-plot. So exactly how he's going to feature in, maybe he's already gone twice to the Black Rage. He might go again.
But the question is, if he goes again, will he be able to come back?
Exactly. But obviously, a lot of this speculation has to be linked to the other book in question, which is Darius Hinks's Mephiston's City of Light, which has him on the cover with 1,000 sun behind him.
Yes, and considering it's called City of Light, makes you wonder, is Mephiston going to Tizca?
Like, what does the architecture on that cover remind you of? Because it's a bit curvy for Prosperine architecture. It's a bit Eldarish.
To be honest, I thought it was just, Tzeentchian stuff.
I mean, it could absolutely just be Tzeentchian, but like, curvy stuff doesn't strike me as human, generally. So, we'll see. But I feel like if Mephiston's going to do something as the either B plot or the antagonist to the A plot of Darkness in the Blood, City of Light will either be the setup or the follow-on from that. I don't think they'll run in parallel. I feel like they'll be one after the other in the timeline.
Oh, before we continue, I do want to address something that a few people have been left in the comment section on the last episode, because it appears that I kind of inadvertently stirred up a bit of a hornet's nest with my comments about the Belisarius Call book. So,
do we need to put a spoiler here?
No, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Okay, just checking.
I will admit, I was probably a little harsh on it, after, further evaluation, the book's not, it's not a bad book, I will say that now. There are still a few things that still strike me as a bit weird, overall. And, as I said, probably a bit too harsh on it. But, in regards to how it fits with Guy Haley's more recent work, it's definitely one of his stronger books in recent years, especially compared to the Kurz or the Korax novels, which were just, mediocre to shite, Because I will point this out about the Core book, I absolutely love the chapters, the flashback scenes, considering, we actually get answers to what happened, after what happened to him in Wolfsbane. So this is what happens to him. This is how he, got all the knowledge, how to make the Primark, no, not Primark, the Primaris, etc., how the Primaris project began, etc., etc. And, yeah, I mentioned some things that didn't necessarily make sense, in regards to the plot, but that's because, there was one or two things I admit I did misinterpret initially, and there were a few things I did have a brain fart about, like, why was initially there? I just brain farted. I'll throw my hands up and admit that straight away. We all have brain farts, let's be bloody honest.
Yep.
So, if I have to give that book a score out of 10, I'd probably give it, at least a 7, at the very least, as I say, not a bad book, but I was probably a bit too harsh on it, I'll be honest. So, moving on to the next books available at the Black Library Weekender, we have, what's this one? Oh yeah, Mark of Faith, a Sisters of Battle novel.
Yes, this has another absolutely gorgeous cover. It's by Rachel Harrison, the author of the Severina Rain novels, and follows Sister Evangeline of the Order of Our Martyred Lady as she embarks on a crusade into the darkness of Imperium Nihilus. I'm guessing that Sister Evangeline will be mentioned in the Sororitas Codex as well. I wouldn't be shocked.
She might be. I mean, this could be a start of a new series, let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely possible. And she seems to be I don't know, because she's got the wings of a Gemini Superior, but more real.
I think it might just be a stylized representation of a purity and faith or something, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, it could also be Living Saint shadowing, who knows?
It could be. Also available ahead of time, even before anyone else, is a copy of The First Wall, Book 3 in the Siege of Terror series. And it has a nice little embossment of an Iron Warrior sigil on the cover, and it looks very nice, and I want it. Please give it to me right now.
It is such a no-nonsense cover. Like, for an Iron Warriors book, it's like, it is leather, it has a stamp on it of our Legion cover, there you go, read it.
That's the one thing
It is such a no-nonsense thing.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm really liking about these limited editions for the Siege of Terror, is because they are so simple, but they look so good as well. The simple black leather brown leather covering with the golden trim and the brass pins on the front. That just oozes class, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, that's not to say that the actual cover of the book is anything like bad. Oh no, not at all.
We saw the actual artwork, didn't we? Of the actual traitors versus the Imperial fists. I mean,
yeah, it's got Perturabo there.
We've got a nice little bit of Fafnir Ran, I believe it is, on the cover as well, judging by his shield and big axe. The guy who ends up founding the Executioner's chapter, so yay.
I don't know my Imperial Fist well enough to know who that was, but yeah. We did get to see that, and we also got to see the cover for the Sons of the Selenar short that's being written by Graham McNeil. Is it Graham McNeil?
Yeah, it's Graham McNeil who's doing the novellas, yeah. With their,
so we got to see that.
With their Robo-Bird mascot.
Quite.
No, seriously, that's the mascot.
I don't think it's wrong. So yeah, First Wall will be there if you want it, which is obviously lovely. So Rem's agents will be very, very busy, I suspect.
Though they did say on Black Library's Facebook page that they will only be taking a very limited stock to this event. So they're not going to be able to sell out all of them at this event. Good move, because I think people will be pissed off otherwise. I think they're going to be taking, at most a couple of hundred.
Yeah, probably.
So probably, there's like 2,000 until they're probably going to take about 200 or something. I don't know. And they are limiting the number of sales for that book as well. So to make sure no scalpers get them. So good on you, GW, for actually taking that into account. I appreciate that very much, though it might be a bit awkward for me to get that into it. But then again, I might have to wait like everyone else. But c'est la vie.
Yeah, Rem has to wait with the rest of us plebs. But yes, there's plenty more as well. We've got a short story collection by Dan Abnett called Lord of the Dark Millennium. Troll Slayer is from Bill King, is back.
The 20th anniversary version, yep.
Yep. Court of the Blind King, that Ideneth Deepkin novel with the absolutely gorgeous front cover. And just give it to me now. I know it's out in on for pre-order in late November, but I want it now.
We've also got the Blackstone Fortress anthology, Vaults of Obsidian, and we've also got the Castle of Blood horror anthology, I think it is. Or is it just a story?
I think it's a novel rather than an anthology.
My bad. You'll also be able to pick up the novella series 2 there as well, which is 5 40k stories, 3 Age of Sigmar, 1 Necromunda, and 1 Warhammer horror. And considering it's called The Colonel's Monograph, I'm guessing it's a 40k related horror story.
Looking at the front cover, I'd say that skullishness and it's Graham McNeil, and I don't think McNeil's ever written Sigmar, so I'm guessing it will be within the 40k universe somewhere.
And you've also got the 6 horror releases as well, in addition to the ones previously mentioned. You got the House of Knight and Chains, I think it's called.
Yeah, House of Knight and Chain, Dark Harvest, and Invocations, the anthology, as well as some audio dramas, all of which I believe have been out before, because Alpha Buser came and talked about Watcher in the Rain last time.
I don't think that was actually out at that point, though. I think they were only recently been announced. He mentioned the way out, because that was available as like a 3-piece download on Black Library's site. And that's being released on in CD form. Because that was the one that had like the Ordo Chronos and the Captured Legion of the Damned.
Yeah, and I feel like the Watcher in the Rain was also a part of that.
I could be wrong, but I thought that only just got recently teased, and people trying to determine, what universe? Is this Age of Sigmar? Is this 40k? We don't know. It's just a massive hand coming out the rain trying to grab something.
Quite. But we will see exactly what that is, and maybe people can remind us in the comments because we're being scrubs. But we also have a bit of extra merch, so there's going to be 3 different calendars. So the Black Library calendar is a classic. I actually got one a couple of years ago. But now there's 3. One with an Imperial Fist Librarian on the front. One with the cover of Gloomspite on the front. I don't know which that Imperial Fist Librarian book is. It looks awesome, but I don't know what book it's from.
It's further down, I think it is. Oh, no, it's on the... It's on the Black Library Coming Soon page, because they finally updated it for the first time in 2 fucking months.
I don't remember what that book's called. Care to remind me?
It is... Fist of the Imperium.
Okay, seems intriguing.
It's the next book in the Space Marine Conquest series.
Ah, okay, definitely want to read then. And then you've got the cover of Gloomspite and the cover of Old Earth, because there's going to be a Horus Heresy calendar. So if you like your Horus Heresy, yeah, everyone likes their Horus Heresy.
Oh, speaking of Horus Heresy, your Horus Heresy coffee cup made of bamboo.
With the infamous Loken quote and that updated artwork.
Yes.
Oh, and a Black Library Advent calendar, because of course there bloody well is.
I have to admit, I do like the movie poster style artwork that comes in there.
Oh god, yeah, I'd forgotten these were here.
Those look absolutely brilliant. Just all these book covers, but done to look like movie posters. Like Ashes and Rose is a movie poster. Let's be bloody honest.
Oh yeah, it's the next Agent of the Throne novel. For those who don't know, and yeah. Like the one at the back, I'm guessing it looks like a bloody 50s horror movie.
Gloomspite.
I think it's
Gloomspite, yeah.
Yeah, it's Gloomspite. It looks like a bloody 50s horror action movie. Like,
mushroom goblins from Sheesh! Dun dun dun! Or something, I don't know.
Yeah, there'll be art prints available, and there's also keyrings, pins, leather-bound notebooks and pens, posters,
and fabric bags.
And also, gaming is coming to the Weekender, so you can play participation games where heroes of Black Library books such as Eisenhorn, Rain, and Gotrek take on hordes of enemies in fast-paced battles in between seminars.
Can I just say, if you could play a game with all 3 of those characters at once, that'd be amazing.
Forget the Avengers, that is the most ambitious crossover event in history. that is such a dead meme at this point.
But yeah, as previously mentioned, they finally updated the Black Library Coming Soon page for the first time in 2 months. So in addition to the previously mentioned Call the Blind King for Age of Sigmar,
Give it to me.
For Age of Sigmar novels, they also have Prophet's Run, which is a Kakarodon Overlord novel, which is basically about them...
Caradron, not Caradons.
Well, Kakarodons are better cooler than Caradrons, let's be honest.
Steampunk dwarves in airships. I mean, yes, space sharks are slightly... I know, but the Caradron are pretty cool, even if they are awful on table.
Yes. There's also a Start Here novel called Hammer and Eagle, which is like a anthology of both Age of Sigmar and 40k stories. And it's got...
I mean, they've tried to do this before. I've seen, like Start Here introductory shorts on, like, GW Tills, where you can, like really good starting stories to introduce you to the universe rather than diving in with like false gods or whatever. Yeah. And I know it'll be Horus Rising, not false gods come at me. Yeah, that's a really good idea. I don't know how well that'll sell, but it's a good idea.
Oh yeah. There's also the Warcry anthology as well. Now going into 40k, We have Lord of Dark Millennium, as mentioned earlier. Fist of the Imperium, which is the next Conquest series novel, focusing on an Imperial Fist librarian. So that should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's the one that's on the front of the 40k calendar, for those who are looking for its cover.
It is indeed. And you've also got the Hammer of the Emperor Omnibus, which is a whole bunch of Imperial Guard stories, like 3 novels and 3 short stories, which is pretty good.
Anything new?
I think it doesn't say what stories are in there, but the authors are Steve Parker, Steve Lyons, and Lucien Solban.
Steve Parker.
Apparently stories range from Talon to Valhalla, so...
Well, that's good, because those companies get nowhere near enough screen time, so I'll take that.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty much it for what's been revealed so far. But yeah, the Black Library Weekend is looking very promising. It's going to murder my bloody wallet.
Do you remember the last time that was a big Black Library info dump, where they dropped Lost of the Damned, the Call novel, and Knights of Macragge on our heads, and we were just like, oh god, what do we do?
Yeah.
This one is arguably worse because First Wall, the next Dante novel, the next Mephiston novel, I really need to read those Mephiston novels. I still haven't.
I still haven't read them either, to be honest. But I have managed to get about halfway through the second Kakarodon novel, hence why I got Kakarodon the bloody brain.
Fair.
There's an excuse for that, so I'll be talking a little bit about that later, because there's a few things I do want to point from that.
Yeah, that's Outer Dark, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember we had Robbie on not long after that book came out, and oh god, that was 30 episodes ago.
God, was it really that long?
It was 53, yeah, and this is 81.
Bloody hell.
30 episodes, what the hell is that? That's over a year. What? Oh, goodness me. Right, back to news. More sisters. Well, actually, not more sisters. Arcoflagellants. And my goodness me, these were controversial. They are not popular with some people.
Remind me of what they look like again, because I think I must have just missed them completely.
Yeah, I'll get the image for you. Basically, they're a lot like the classic Arcoflagellants. Based... heavily inspired by the first example, the Damien 1427 from the Inquisitor game is sort of what they based the design on.
Oh, that model was awesome.
Well, that's the basis of what they've gone for. I think some people... Actually, was it this guy's... Or was it the Mistress of Repentance that people got up on their backsides about? I can't remember. I remember seeing, like, super hot take awful comment on the Warhammer official Instagram about sisters. And someone just put that on Twitter. I remember seeing that.
Looking at those Arco flags, they don't actually look bad.
They look a little bit dated. Like, they look like metal miniatures.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but at the same time, that gives them a little bit of a charm, I suppose.
Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with them. But we also got to see the full contents of the Sisters Army box, which is the Canoness that half the people don't like, the Battle Sister Squad, 4 Repentia and their Mistress, who looks pretty awesome, I've got to say, 5 Seraphim, 3 Arcoflagellants, and the Penitent Engine, as well as dice, a transfer sheet, and the Baby 40k rulebook if you didn't already have one. I don't.
And a limited edition codex.
Oh, and a limited edition codex. Yeah, I kind of missed that bit.
Yeah, so the bizarre thing is...
It's not called... I remember why people got annoyed now. It's not called the Mistress of Repentance anymore. It's the Repentia Superior. They changed the name. I think that's what annoyed people. Anyway, sorry.
That's a minor thing, I think. I mean, let's be honest, there's a few characters who've had things and titles changed over the years, so it's not... It could be worse, I suppose. But yeah, in regards to this box set, I've seen, for some reason, a few people saying that this box set is going to cost only £65. And I'm thinking, it's not going to cost that cheap. There's no way in hell it's going to be that cheap.
The codex will cost £65, I suspect.
The limited edition codices go, on average, about £50 for a full-size one. So, like, Codex Space Marines or Codex Tyrannus, Codex Tau. Limited editions will always be £50. The Space Marine Codex Supplements, the limited editions have been £40. So if we go by that pricing alone, for the minimum price...
Yeah, and then we add in the core rules book, which is about 30 quid, because for some reason it doesn't cost the same as the AOS gaming book. They just decided to gouge people on that one. So that's about 30 quid all on its own.
I'm going to guess in total this box set will cost around the same as a boxed game. Probably around £90 to £100.
Which means you're getting the entire army for 15 quid.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest.
That's a bit optimistic, I think.
It's more sensible than £65.
True, because data cards, dice, and data cards, they can be 20 quid on their own. Dice cubes can be 10 quid on their own. Even before you get to the miniatures, you've hit about 95 quid's worth of stuff.
Yeah.
We will see.
But I think in regards to, cost and stuff like that, as far as Games Workshop's concerned, the paper stuff is going to be a lot cheaper than the plastic.
Yes.
So they can afford to do it so as a reduced price compared to what it normally is, and just say it's a deal. It
is, and it's probably going to be a good deal if you want a Big Sisters army.
Yeah, I'm going to guess it'll be around between £90 to £110. That's what I'm going to guess.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the high end of that. It could go as high as 150 in my head, but I think that's possibly pushing it.
Yeah, it's not going to be 65, I think.
Yeah, that's exceptionally optimistic.
Just a tad.
But there is still more. We have plenty more news to get through. And probably the biggest thing that was in the sort of previous week, which we've kind of not rushed to get to because, well, we talked about it on another podcast, is the Games Workshop Marvel Comics partnership.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this caused a stir, shall we say. Some people think it's a terrible idea. Some people think it's just illogical. And there are lots of various options around it.
I can see where people on both sides are coming with this, because some people think it's a bad idea considering that, comics as a whole is a dying medium. And
they're not that wrong.
No. But at the same time, Marvel is a very big company and Games Workshop is getting a crap ton of exposure from this as well. So I can understand why Games Workshop would want to do this, but at the same time, I'm not sure how to feel given how recent records in regards to comics have been as far as Marvel is concerned, because a lot of the new stuff has not been that good. But there have been some things that have been promising, like they've done the new Conan comics, Conan the Barbarian, and and from what I've understood, they've been quite grimdark and gory. Which is quite surprising for a Disney-owned company. So if that's the case, that gives a little bit of, of a light at the end of the tunnel, shall we say. But at the same time, I'm not sure if this is just going to be is Marvel working alongside Games Workshop writers, or is it just Marvel acting as the publisher, you write it, we put it out?
Yeah, I think that's my biggest question, is around who's got creative license and creative control. Because if it's Marvel using GW's license to create their own stuff, that's one thing.
Yeah.
If it's Marvel being the publisher as GW branches out into the world of comics, that's another. And I think the other query that I think, even if other people didn't raise it, that I had, is where does this partnership sort of end? Is it strictly, we are going to make some comics, or is this is the first step in our partnership that leads to, I don't know, a Warhammer film, or maybe if that does well, the idea of trying to do not the next MCU, that would be ridiculous, but doing the next sort of series of Marvel movies in the Warhammer universe or universes, and using that product to push the next sort of generation of Marvel films until we're ready for a bit more MCU.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to lead to anything like a film or TV show or anything like that, because if it would...
I can see a TV show.
If it would, I think they would wait until and see how, the Eisenhorn TV show turns out first. Still no more news on that, by the way, which is...
Oh, yeah. I forgot that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have at this point, to be honest.
True.
But, if Marvel and, in turn, Disney want to make, a 40k related TV show, I mean... Given how... let's look at Star Wars for a second. The Mandalorian TV show, from what I've seen of the trailers, it looks very promising, but at the same time of how bad the Disney Star Wars films have been in general, it's...
Or at least how badly received.
Yeah, well, especially compared to the older films. Because out of the 4 Disney Star Wars films, that have come out, isn't it, under Disney?
5.
4.
Is it Rogue One, Solo, and then
7 and 8
episodes? Oh no, sorry, I thought episode 9 was out for some reason. What the hell am I on about?
Out of those 4, Rogue One was probably objectively the best.
It was good. I enjoyed Rogue One.
To
be fair, I enjoyed episodes 7 and 8, but I'm not that that deeply immersed in the Star Wars universe. I never was.
7 was just a rehash of A New Hope, and 8 was just...
even I'll admit that.
And 8 was just objectively bad. It was so full of, what is this shit? The whole... let's point out, the whole Mary Poppins thing, for example. I can't believe it.
But episode 9 looks quite promising from its trailers.
Sorry, just going back to the Mary Poppins thing broke me.
Right, I'm just going to fill time while Remleiz dies. I think it will be interesting to see what hand Disney wants to have in the Warhammer license going forward. Because if they want to do something with the Warhammer universe, Games Workshop's kind of given them a freebie in the Warhammer Adventure series. If you want to Disneyfy Warhammer, well, Warhammer Adventures is right there and has already done it for you. If they want to go full grimdark, well, we know Marvel can do sort of dark sort of movies. We've seen that. And then we know that they can do comedic and campy movies if they want to go down that trend. They've got options here. And I just think we need to know what the partnership entails, as in, is it strictly comics? And if it is strictly comics, who's in control of them? And second, if it isn't strictly comics, what are they thinking they want out of this? And who's in control of that?
Yeah, because part of me's wondering, what happened with their relationship with Titan Comics? The ones who did the Will of Iron series, for example.
Did they do... Was it not Death of Hope? The Dark Angels comics, what were they called?
Will of Iron.
I think Will of Iron and I think Iron Warriors immediately. So that's my fault.
Understandable. Well, Iron Warrior was Iron Warrior was a villain in that series, so...
Alright, fine, I'm excused.
But yeah, I wonder what happened with the partnership between those guys. Actually, I'm surprised they not, Games Workshop aren't trying to just, if it is just comics, why they aren't just publishing it all through Black Library? Their publication arm.
Yeah, but maybe they just want, it could be partly for the art and creative team, because what works well in a novel format doesn't always work so well in a comic format.
No, I agree, but Black Library have published, comics in the past, Demonofuge being a big one, Blood Quest, Death Squadron,
Oh, Death Squadron! God, yeah, Death Squadron was a thing. The
Warhammer Monthly comic series.
True. So yeah, it's an interesting one, and short of this is Marvel trying to make up for stealing the Devilfish in that Venom comic that one time. I don't.
And the Falcon Grav Tank.
Oh, and that. Yeah, I don't know.
And the bolt pistol.
All right, fine, you made your point.
And the broadside.
All right, yeah, point well and truly made. We don't know the details here, and I think once we have a bit more detail, we can make a more refined judgment. I saw this hot take, it's like, oh, interesting. That was my sort of hot take, and I've cooled on it, but I'm not against the idea. That's sort of where I'm at with it.
It just makes Venom a canon character in 40k now. From that comic.
And speaking of things that are a little bit weird, it's coming up on Christmas, and you know what that means. Christmas miniature.
Communist Gretchen.
Yes, it's not Grombrindal, for once. It's the Red Gobbo, but dressed as Santa Claus.
Yes, and I've seen a few people complaining about that for some stupid bloody reason. There's going to be people who complain about bloody everything, let's be fucking honest.
It's a Christmas miniature with its own stupid nerdy Twitter account like the Primaris Lieutenant. And
I will say this, I really sincerely appreciate the fact that it's doing pretty much the exact same pose as the original Red Gobbo miniature from Gorka Morka.
I don't remember that miniature, I'm too young, but okay, I'll take your word for it.
Do you not know who the Red Gobbo is?
I know who the Red Gobbo is. I did an entire video on Grots and Squigs, and the Gretchen Revolutionary Committee is in it, but I didn't see the miniature while I was doing the research, as it just so happened. But why they're doing the Red Gobbo is not just because, oh, hey, Christmas. It's because they're running a gift list-based competition, which actually is running for until November the 9th. It's a real contest. There's some T's and C's. You can go and look it up. And basically you can tell the Red Gobbo why you deserve to be rewarded with shiny goblins and all that lovely stuff. If you want to do gift lists, then you can do that. General rule of thumb, though, up to you. And okay, yeah, that's fair enough. That is the old pose. Very much the old pose done again.
I wonder how many people are going to say, Dear Red Gobbo, I deserve this list because I believe that all Gobbos should get the tags so they can get onto Gorka Morka and leave that fucking planet.
Also, I love the freehand work they've done on the miniatures, like teeth. It's not tag off planet, it's or dead orc, it's skates. Skates. And I really love the coat, like the back of the coat. I don't know why it's got all these grooves in it, like a greatcoat style thing, but it is really, really pretty and I like it.
That reminds me. You know Alpha Buser's parody channel, Hercules Dragonblade, you know, the whole, you know, the piss take of how some people can be in this fandom.
Quite.
Have you seen his, quote, review of the Red Gobbo miniature?
I have not. This one slipped by me, I think.
He hates his comedy goblins in his serious 40k. And I keep seeing a picture of him and I keep thinking, my God, you're greasy. The thing is, he does that by apparently before he records himself as Hercules, he slathers himself with like coconut butter or something to make himself all shiny.
I have no desk and I must head it. Anyway, moving on.
Yes.
We also got a little bit of Warcry. So they are putting out some more terrain based on the Azurite ruins, which is cool. The Tome of Champions update rules book thingamajig. First look at a new Warband miniature for the Varanspire units and a brand new monster, the Fomeroid Crusher, who throws terrain at people.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's fun. Is there anything else? Grimwatch for Beastgrave, so a Flesh Eater Gods Warband. Cities of Sigmar came out. I could talk about that all day, but I feel like I've only got limited time to do it. New Ossiarch Bone Reapers character miniatures, who look absolutely blooming amazing, in my opinion. Now, not everyone's as keen on them. I really, 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 really like them. A rumour engine that got everybody talking because it's basically a rocket launcher.
I think that's going to be for Aeronautica, to be honest. I think it's going to be like...
Possible. And a new Night Questor for Stormcast, who seems to be available at PAX and maybe some other places.
It only got announced today, didn't it?
Yeah, it was only today. They are known as Dacian Anvil, who looks like a Lord Celestant, but is just not wearing the cloak and is actually a Night Questor. And looks pretty awesome. And is also carrying a book for some flipping reason.
He's a word bearer, kill him! No one likes the word bearers, let's be honest.
You'd be surprised how many people do. I personally
it's actually,
don't.
In fairness, there is a surprising amount of people who do, yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it either, but there we go. Permission to talk about Cities of Sigmar for 5 minutes?
You have 4.
All right. So, Cities of Sigmar, the new AOS Battle Tome came out, as well as Auric War Clans, but I haven't picked that one up. And it's an interesting book because it's basically 6 cities are your only faction options. You've got a lot less options in there in terms of customization, which I think if you're coming across from 40k is like, oh, I can't actually customize. And it's a shame for me because it used to be you had general allegiance abilities and some relics and some traits and some bit spells and stuff. And then you had some extra ones behind, say, the Enclaves of the Ideneth or the Stormhost or the Stormcast or whatever else that gave you extra stuff if you limited yourself to certain bonuses. But they've changed that with the cities book, so that your army must basically hail from a city, because all the bonuses, like all the relics, all the command traits, all the spells, are locked behind the cities, which is kind of a shame, especially when you consider that all of the cities come from a grand total of 2 realms. They're all either from Aqshy or they're from Gyron, because Aqshy and Gyron got all the lore back at the start of the game. So there's no Shamanite city, there's no Haitian city, no Orgu city, no Shaishian city, which is really sad. And I'm not saying this to complain, because what we got is amazing, and the fact that they've managed to bring all these factions together is awesome. I almost feel like the fact they focused on these cities and they're the only way to get any useful bonuses, and they're only from 2 realms, it's kind of a shame. I'd like to see a little bit more diversity in the city roster. That's all. But generally, pretty awesome book. I've been having some real fun reading it, and I've got so many army builds I want to try, using miniatures I both do and don't have. So, I've gone on, I've only taken 2 minutes, there we go, happy.
Fair enough.
Also, Warhammer Alliance is still a thing, and that's getting started now.
You going to do it for your school?
Once I have a permanent post of employment, maybe, because you're not really encouraged to take charge of any club volunteering opportunities when you're in school, because you're only going to be there for a few months on placement. But I will probably do it on a school when I finally get a permanent post somewhere.
Fair enough.
So yes, we've gone on about news for nearly an hour because there was just that much to talk about. So, Rem, do you want to talk about Carcharodons for a bit?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through Outer Dark at this point, and from what I've seen, like a lot of people prior to reading this book said that, well, prior to me reading this book, I should point out, has said that this book confirms that the Carcharodons are direct successors to the Raven Guard via the Ashen Claws. That's not really the case. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a lot more heavily insinuated. It's like, these guys, we're not saying you're Raven Guard, but you're probably Raven Guard kind of thing, let's be honest. But there are a few interesting things that throw a little bit of a potential spanner into the works. Like, for example, the Ashen Claws refer to the Carcharodons as mongrels, suggesting, possible chimeric gene seed. And there's also the fact that when the Reaper Prime of the Carcharodons met with the Chapter Master of the Ashen Claws, one of the Ashen Claws referred to the Carcharodons as, quote, traitor-born scum. Implying that old Night Lord's theory. Yes. I mean, don't get me wrong, it probably are going to be Raven Guard, because there are a lot more links to the Raven Guard than anything else. And there might be something later on in the book that I haven't gotten to yet. But from what I say, it's not a direct confirmation. It's more like they're Raven Guard, but kind of thing. Yeah. I think the Ashen Claws calling them traitorous is almost maybe a nod to the fact that they're not Ashen Claws, but they are still sons of Corax. Because yeah, possibly. As I recall, the Ashen Claws basically said F Corax and went off and did their own thing because they were the loyalists to Horus from Gate 32, right? It wasn't quite like that. It was more like, Corax said, like, hey, I don't like the way you're doing these things, plus you're Terran, fuck off. And then the Ashen Claws were like, oh, this is how you treat us? Well, fuck you then. Yeah. Basically. Because the Ashen Claws were very violent, they took slaves, Corax didn't like that, bye-bye. Yeah, and then they went for Renegade, fought for basically neither side in the Horus Heresy. Yeah, I mean, they completely, wrecked the Nostromo sector completely. But also, when the Ultramarines turned up, they messed them up too. Yeah. Basically, they were Heresy-era Black Shields in a way. Yeah, that's not a bad way of looking at it. Even though they weren't technically Black Shields, they were operating in a manner akin to other Black Shields. Rogues, pirates, brigands, that kind of thing. Yeah. Actually, they were called Traitor-born. So they were born to a traitor. Are they saying that Corax was a traitor to the ideals of the Emperor? Either that or... Is that the... Either that or, a traitor to the original ideas of the Legion or something, I don't know. Yeah, because it would make no sense for them to call them traitor as in the traitor legions, because they don't probably see the traitor legions the same way. It's an interesting one. But I think it's a reference to them being sons of Corax, because they and Corax never really got on. The fact that they're constantly referred to as being mongrels as well. That's the interesting thing. Hybrid gene seed is I mean, again, we know Corax had to do a lot of effing around with Raven Guard gene seed because of the Raptor project. Yeah. So
that's a potential other reference.
And we know that chimeric gene seed, is a thing for certain chapters. I mean, the Relictors, they're confirmed to be half Dark Angel, half Ultramarine, for some reason.
Combine the two most stable gene seeds together, what do you get?
A very sneaky Roman.
And absolute idiots.
There's also the fact that the Minotaur's gene seed is also confirmed to be chimeric, but they don't say from what. They just say it's flat out, it's chimeric.
Quite.
So it's not impossible for the Carcharodons to be chimeric as well.
Yeah, for the record, for those who don't know the term, chimeric is in reference to chimera built of different creatures together fused as one. So it's different successors of different lineages fused into one gene seed.
Hybrids, essentially.
Just for those who didn't know the term. Yeah, hybrids. Just because that term is a very nice term, but having been a teacher for a bit now, assuming people know some terminology is a very dangerous game to play. So clarification is always
Yes, I can imagine you talking to your students thinking, oh, you damn speaking in low Gothic.
So is there anything else in Outer Dark that is worth mentioning at this juncture?
Not at this particular point in time. But I'm very much enjoying this book, I have to say. Robbie does a very good job with the Sharp Boys. But there was another story that I did read that you might find interesting. A story called Commander Shadow, a Tower story.
Oh, I'm guessing this is about Shadow Sun or an aide to Shadow Sun?
No, it's not. It's about a guy who would take on the name Commander Cold Shadow.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Because basically, at the time, he was only known as Chasseau. He didn't have a name other than Chasseau. He's only done 3 trials by fire, and he graduated from the top military academy on Borkan.
And Borkan is the place you go for military academies, just for the record.
Yeah. So he's on this planet, that's recently brought into the Tau Empire. It's annexed from the Imperium, but there is a group of insurgents who are still loyal to the Imperium, causing, trouble for everyone. And he's doing his communication with the leader of the rebels. And the rebel commander asks him, oh, so what's your name? So you can call me Chasseau. Chasseau, that means commander, doesn't it? Yes. So what's your name? And it's like, I haven't chosen my name yet. It's like, have you not chosen it or have you not earned it yet?
Zing.
And the Tau tries to put him in this place saying, like, I've done 3 trials by fire and I'm on top of my class in this military camp, blah, blah, blah. And the human commander just goes like, oh, you think you know war just because you read about it in a book? You're a shadow of a commander. Hey, Watercast dude, what's shadow in Tau? Ray. Okay, yeah, you're now Chasseau Ray. You're Commander's shadow because you're a shadow of a commander.
I mean, we'll ignore the fact that every Tau has to serve 4 years on the line between trials by fire. We'll gloss over the 12 years of fighting this commander has done. No, wrong. 16 to become a Chasseau. 16 years on the line. How many humans fight for 16 years?
Well, how many people are still alive in the Imperial Guard?
Point taken.
But anyway, he does point out how naive, for lack of a better term, this commander is, because they find out where the human base is, and he's talking with the commander of the aircast forces and goes, okay, can you just go fly over and drop a few plasma bombs on the site? And the aircast guy's like, that's a stupid fucking idea.
Yes, because...
Why is that?
Turrets.
No turrets, no defences, just sitting in the middle of a jungle. The reason why it was a stupid idea is because this group of humans was known for using gas attacks, and their base is located within 1 kilometre of the nearest Tau settlement.
You bomb us, we'll bomb you.
Either that or you bomb us and all the gas will just drift over and kill every single Tau in that settlement.
Yeah, that's also very true.
And then the Tau commander's like, oh, shit. So what the hell am I meant to do? We can't bomb them. The jungle's too dense for battle suits. What the hell do I do? And the Warcard just goes like, there's some Kroot in a war sphere in orbit. You could ask them. Good idea. We'll get the Kroot to do it. So he gets the Kroot. The Kroot end up killing the humans, blah, blah, blah. The Tau commander ends up getting into a fist fight with the human commander and wins.
In suit or out of suit?
He's in a stealth suit.
Okay, fine. If he was out of suit, I'd call hacks. Because Tau commanders are good, but they're not that good.
Especially since the human commander had a power fist as well.
Yeah, I'd be calling massive hacks.
Yeah. But anyway, after defeating humans, feeding them to the Kroot are, eating them all lovely. And the Tau commander takes on the name Commander Cold Shadow because, he seemed more appropriate because he had to get to the base through stealth and being as quiet as a shadow, blah, blah, blah. But then, at the end of the story, it's revealed that the Kroot have started attacking the Tau. They're not responding to orders. They start dressing like the humans by attaching like red bandanas around their head, and the Kroot Shaper is referring to the Tau Commander as Commander Shadow. Ooh, cliffhanger end.
So, wait, the Kroot ate the... I'm assuming the Kroot ate the humans, and they're all dead.
They ate the humans, yes. Yes.
So they ate the humans and gained their mindset and viewpoint on the Tau. What?
Apparently so.
What?
Or something like that. Either that or their, I don't know, ingrained hatred for the oppression of the Tau, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But it was kind of interesting, because, like, I mean, that's because we all know, the Kroot take on traits of whatever they eat.
They choose the
haven't
trait
really
they
seen anything
want.
in regards to societal traits.
That's true.
As opposed to just, purely physical.
Yeah, so the way that it works, for those who don't know, is that the Shapers decide what they will consume and what they will do with it. So this Shaper must have assessed the situation and gone, hey, I can stir up some anti-Tau sentiment here among my kindreds. I'm going to tell them to eat the humans in just such a way that X happens. So...
I'm pretty sure I cut out, didn't I?
Yeah, I didn't get a word of what you said over me, sorry.
I was saying, like, we know that the Kroot, gain traits wherever they eat, but that's purely genetic,
I got that bit.
We haven't really seen anything...
I got that bit.
Okay. Have we seen anything in regards to societal traits?
No, because we never had any Tau law on that side of things. I wouldn't be shocked if being able to take ideas from individuals is a thing, because Space Marines gain memories by eating stuff, so it makes sense for the Kroot to be able to absorb personality traits, because those personality traits may be very, very useful. So, yeah, I've never seen it happen, but I'm not opposed to the idea, and it suggests that there's a backstory to this Shaper having been dicked over by the Tau in the past, because the Shaper's chosen to allow the Kroot to adapt that way.
Possibly. For anyone wondering, the story is in the Chasseau anthology, if you're interested.
I'll keep that in mind and see if I can dig it out one day.
But yeah, Tau stuff be crazy at times.
Yeah, I think...
Oh, and also it was the source of the story that I posted an excerpt of it on Twitter about how the gas is made from, like, plant spores that take root in the victim's chest and force their lungs out of their mouth. And it's like, Jesus, that's some way to go.
Yeah, that's dark.
Yep.
Eesh.
Oh well.
I don't really know how to respond to that.
This is why you shouldn't smoke. There you go. I don't know.
That'll do as a
Stop
message.
smoking before your lungs get forced out of your mouth by plant spores. I don't know.
There we go. That's a message to end on. We've been going for just over an hour and 10, so shall we do some questions?
Yeah, let's go for it, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't got actually a huge amount this episode. I don't know why, but maybe we'll get through them all, if they're reasonable. So, is there a person in the Imperial Guard that is more badass than Commissar Yarrick?
More badass than Commissar Yarrick? Not many. Not many. I mean, I think the obvious joke answer would be Sly Marbo. That's the obvious joke answer.
And the obvious logical answer is Iron Hand Strachan.
Yeah, considering, a shark bit off his arm and he ripped out its throat with his teeth. Allegedly.
Yeah, the whole how the hell Strachan survived that thing is a little bit wibbly.
Yeah.
But, hey. Sci-fi got a sci-fi.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, I can't think of anybody in particular, because, well, Macarius was a badass, but he was also a ripoff. Creed was a badass, but also a ripoff. Kel did one thing in his entire life.
You could argue, possibly Ox from The Last Chancers. He killed 3 officers in a drunken barroom brawl, and starts wandering around with a heavy bolt and starts shooting everyone.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I can't think of anyone else in particular beyond, like,
actually, probably Colonel Schaefer, let's be honest. He's probably pretty badass.
Yeah, the amount of times the Last Chancers have gone on missions, all died, and Schaefer's just rebuilt them is pretty impressive.
By that token, you could also potentially argue, Commissar Gaunt.
Gaunt and Cain certainly can't be too far off. Though I feel my impression of Gaunt, or either Gaunt or Cain, is one of them is really just a bit wisecracky, and I can't remember which.
Cain's Blackadder.
Yeah.
Put it that way. Basically, Gaunt is badass because, he's a badass, and Cain's badass because he's just incredibly snarky and lucky.
Yeah. Okay, so, question. If one of the factions at war in the Milky Way were to win, would they continue to expand into the greater universe? Permission to do some science on this person.
Go ahead.
Right. So, to understand why this is completely ridiculously difficult, we need to talk about space. Space is huge, incalculably huge, and it's ever expanding. The problem
it's the final frontier.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. But the distances in space are astronomical. The distance between the Sun and the Earth is 1.5 times 10 to the 11 meters, which is 150 million kilometers, just for context. And the distance to the next star is ridiculous. I think it's Alpha Centauri, is just, it's massive. It's so hugely vast that travelling it without the warp is basically impossible. Then you've got to consider the fact that that's to the next system. Then you go that across an entire galaxy. Then you go to the next galaxy, and all the galaxies are moving further away from each other because of the phenomena of the Big Bang. And it's impossibly, incalculably vast. To which I hear you answer, well, what about the warp and webway? Well, the webway seems to be a construct of this one galaxy because it was built by the old ones, so the implication goes, so it probably only covers this galaxy. As for the warp, well, have you ever tried travelling vast distances in the warp? No?
Yeah, I mean, with the warp, you either get there within a few hours, few days, few weeks, 10 minutes to go, or, yeah.
And the other thing to consider is if you want to get there, you need to know where you're going and where you're aiming. And if you want to know where you're aiming, then, well, you need a light. And the Astronomicon stops at about Segmentum Pacificus or Ultima Segmentum. And we can't exactly do a Mass Effect Andromeda and just have a telescope looking in the right direction because we can't see. Because we don't have that sort of technology. We don't have an equivalent to the Geth who can do that sort of thing.
To put it into perspective for some people, in regards to the limits of the Astronomicon, the newest Blackstone Fortress is nowhere near it. Yeah, relatively speaking. It's far past the boundaries of Ultima Macaria, which is like the furthest world conquered by the Imperium outside of the Astronomicon's boundary.
And was actually, I don't think Ultima Macaria was beyond the Astronomicon's boundary. It was almost.
It was just beyond its limits. And the reason Macarius didn't go any further is because his navigator's like, we don't know what's out there, we can't see where we're going, we're not going that way.
Yeah, pretty much. I couldn't quite remember which side of the line Ultima Macaria was on.
It's just on the outside. It's like the furthest world conquered by Macarius.
Yeah, and he could have kept going forever, but his navigators were like, no. And his soldiers were also like, no.
It's like, we can't fucking see.
Yeah. So the Blackstone Fortress is a bit further beyond, but barely. In the grand scheme of space, it's really barely beyond it. And yeah, the distances, I don't know the distance to the Andromeda Galaxy, which is the next one over, but it's ridiculous. Like, how the hell the Tyranids traversed from the next galaxy. I mean, the Tyranids could...
Very slowly.
Yeah, the Tyranids could probably do it, but in terms of conventional, actual species that know how to travel as we understand it, yeah, they're not doing it. Right.
I mean, how long did it take them to get from wherever they were, to the Milky Way? 10,000 years?
That was 10,000 years when they could see an Astronomicon flash. They were that close that they could see
Pharos flash.
A Pharos flash, sorry, yes. They saw a Pharos flash, and that doesn't travel infinitely either. Granted, generally starlight flashes, you can see starlight from billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of miles away, yes. Well, maybe not billions and billions and billions and billions. I don't know what the exact distance is for where starlight starts to be invisible. But when you consider the temporal manipulation of that as well, because the light arrives so much later in dark space because of the distance it has to travel, because it can only travel at sea. Yeah, it's a messy thing. The Tyranids can't have been that far away when the Pharos went off.
Galactically speaking.
Yeah, galactically speaking, or even numeric by the standards of our own galaxy, not that far. But anyway, that's enough science for one video. How well do the Crimson Fist and the Black Templars get along? We know they fought in a crusade together, but it's still a little vague. Is there a thing where the Crimson Fist and Black Templars have beef? Because this is news to me.
That's news to me as well. I thought the Crimson Fist were best bros with everyone. I thought everyone loved the Crimson Fist. They're like the one chapter that gets them with everyone because they haven't got an issue with anyone.
Yeah.
That's how I understood it.
I mean, in fact, I'm going to expand the comment just to see see if there's any reference to what this is about. I don't know. Maybe it's because the Crimson Fists are super nice and the Black Templars are super dicks. There was just maybe that's.
It's not like comparing the Crimson Fist with the Marines Malevolent or anything like that.
No, and we also had someone point out in the replies the Feast of Blades is a thing. Like they talk. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure if there is any beef, it'll get squashed at that event. They'll just get someone to beat the shit out of the Emperor's champion or something.
Pretty much. It's like, right, so the Black Templars...
Mr. Cortez, could you come and punch him, please?
Yeah, so over the past decade, what have the Black Templars done? Oh, they genocided several worlds. I don't approve of that. Send the champion to go and knock their champion out cold for 5 minutes, please, and then we'll be considering that settled.
I mean, if they send Alessio Cortez, then, Black Templars are fucked, because nothing can kill Alessio Cortez.
Correct. Right.
I've not lost my arm, it's over there!
Yep.
That's canon, by the way, for those of you who don't know.
Oh yeah, that's from Rin's World,
He actually
isn't it?
said that!
It's from Rin's World, isn't it?
Yes.
Thought so. Question about how to make the butcher's nails. You can't. I'm not even going to try. I'm not a biologist, so I'm not even going to talk about it in Tutorialis. Sorry. Okay, question here. In the audio drama War Master, which is set after the Istvan V massacre, have you listened to it?
Yes, that's a good audio drama.
So in that audio drama, Horus muses to the Skull of Ferrus Manus that he would rather have wanted Dawn, Corax, and the Loyalists instead of the ones he refers to as damaged and broken. So the question is, would Horus have stood a better chance of winning with the Loyalist Primarchs, or would they have become equally as damaged and broken due to the corruption of chaos as Horus thinks the traitor Primarchs are, and thus we'd have got the same result?
I think it's debatable, to be honest. I mean, let's be honest, some of the Primarchs already were damaged and broken,
Angron.
Conrad, Kurz, Angron, one was, had a big spike in his head, and the other one was, suffering from some form of mental psychosis. So if he had, instead of, say, Angron and Kurz, he had Corax and Russ, he probably would have had a better chance. As much as I like, those two legions, because, Space Wolves are probably a bit easier to control than a bunch of madmen with, butcher's nails in their heads.
Though, if you do as you did in the Theoreticus Heresy and turn Russ into a psychopathic murder bot, then, again, the route becomes very difficult to control, especially if they go all Wolfen.
Oh, definitely. I think, there's an argument to be made for both sides of things. He could potentially have a better advantage, but at the same time, it could be null and void.
Yeah, I think, certainly in the early stages of the Heresy, the traitors would have done even better. But by the time of the Siege of Terror, I feel like it could have gone either way. Admittedly, having Sang and Russ, that's a hard combo to beat when you've got Sang and Russ on your team.
Yeah.
Okay, next. What do you think the Alpha Legion Primarch book will be like?
About 200 pages of blank paper.
They could very easily, air quotes, rickroll everybody with that book.
We just open up the book and just plays a little video of Rick Astley.
Just, I am Alfarius.
But Alfarius' helmet photoshopped over his head.
I'm very interested in the Alfarius Omegon book. I'm really interested in what they do with it.
Yeah, I mean, we know we're not going to get any more of the Primarch series until January at the very earliest, because they said they aren't going to do any more this year.
Right.
The last book is either going to be Horus or Sanguinius. I think that's pretty much universally agreed.
Yeah.
Question is, where can you take some of these? Like I've already previously suggested, like for Lionel Johnson, his book should be The Fall of Caliban, because where else are you going to put it in the Horus Heresy series / Siege of Terraces? Where else can you put it?
I was going to put it in the Rangdan Xenocides because we are allowed the Great Crusade in the Primark series.
True, but at the same time, that's the point. That could actually be the Alpha Legion one, because that's where the Alpha Legion made their first official appearance.
Or maybe they could do the meeting of Alfarius and Horus, because how that goes is quite well established and would allow us to maybe start speculating a bit more about their backstory. Because it's an Alfarius Omegon novel, not an Alpha Legion novel. So
True.
Or maybe it'll be a 4-part book of all the alternate origin stories, and then on the back page, everything you just read was a lie, a la Horus Heresy Book 7. No.
Actually, that'd be a really cool idea, just like, a small anthology of 4 stories about 50 pages long. I'd actually be down with that.
And it could be revealed that each of them is about a different Alpha Legion commander or about Alfarius, and it's revealed at the end that actually that wasn't Alfarius, or that was Alfarius.
That it was Alfaricus. Sorry. Yeah, Alfaric rolled. There we go. We have a term for it now.
Right. Okay, next question. Are the Catan actually non-psychic? I ask this as they could feed on the souls and suffering of the Necrons, and is why they fed on half the galaxy.
They didn't feed on the Necron souls, at least not according to the 3rd edition Codex. Because
which has been retconned.
Yes, but in the later codes, they just said they fed off the life force. And we know life force is different from a soul. Yes,
but it is.
Because if you look at the short story, Visions of a Sleeping God, it basically has Abaddon and a demon talking, basically about the dragon of Mars. And it talks about how the dragon has sacrifices thrown to it, it feeds on it, and the souls are left to drift into the void, attracting scavengers from the warp.
Right,
because it's not consuming the souls. That's why the demons are being attracted, around Mars, because there's a bunch of souls being constantly released around Mars from the sacrifices.
Yeah, they sort of suggest that even if the Catan can't actually do psychic powers, their ability to feed
They're not necessarily so. They're just the masters of the physical realm. So this is what gives them their otherworldly abilities. Because
they were trying to explain their vulnerability to the warp that we've heard about in sources that I will not cite because of spoilers. That maybe they were trying to imply that because they've got this sort of ability to feed on stuff that involves psychic energy, they are susceptible in the same manner of demons and force weapons, is sort of what they're getting at. I don't know if it's correct, but that's what they're getting at.
Because again, looking at the later Necron sources, it's pretty much universally stated that they feed on life force or off the physical bodies, suns, etc. Because I think actually there was a 3rd edition code that gave the most detail of what the Catan actually ate. Surprisingly enough, found them feasting on a star. When the Necrons underwent the Bio Transference, the Catan fed upon the bodies of the Necrons, but not the souls.
Soul is a bit of a wibbly-wobbly term of confusion, and no one really knows how to define it, and it's just used whenever they need an input of, why did this happen? Soul nonsense. I don't know. Okay, moving on. I believe this is kind of by design, but do you see a similarity between Belisarius Cawl and Fabius Bile?
In a way. Yeah, that's a good point out, actually. Yeah, I mean, it's like two sides of the same coin in a way. They both want to, they both seek knowledge in a way. They both want to create things in their own way. Just like, Cawl's doing his mainly with, bits of metal and stuff, whereas Fabius Bile is creating Frankenstein's monster.
But what's interesting is, I think it's how they got there that I find quite interesting. Because Cawl worked on the Astartes project and then forgot about it. And was always one of the flesh is strong of all the Mechanicus adepts back in the Horus Heresy. And was then granted through Guilliman the ability, combined with his old knowledge, to undertake these experiments as part of the Primaris project. Whereas Bile was doing more and more desperate experimentation because his legion was dying. The flesh was failing them and being warped by the... what was it called?
Blight.
The Blight, thank you. Was being so ravaged by this blight on all of them, and it was killing them, killing him, and he was acting out of desperation to save himself, mainly. And after he was given a sort of access to information through Fulgrim and the Warp, he decided to use it in more and more corrupted and twisted ways as he went down the insanity rabbit hole. Though he's not really insane either.
Mm.
They both have clones, or representations of themselves, because Bile had clones and Cole has the Cole Familiar.
Yeah, that's true.
But it feels like Cole is the creator, and Bile is the mad scientist who's constantly chasing and innovating in the worst ways possible on his coattails. Because Cole helped design the Astartes, and Bile bastardized them. Cole has created the Primaris, and Bile wants their attention so that he can get one and bastardize them.
It's like comparing Nikola Tesla with Dr. Frankenstein, in a way.
I've heard there are worse analogies that we could have made there, yeah. Okay. Despite Primaris being a thing, does the Imperium still produce normal Space Marines? Yes.
Not to the same extent, though. I mean, some chapters, they're not doing them at all anymore. Like with
but some they are.
Some are, yes, but some aren't. So it's more of a thing like, depends on the chapter.
Yeah. So, broad answer, yes, but short, long answer, but really, really not so much, and it really depends on who you ask.
Like with the White Scars, for example, it's like pretty much states flat out in their codex, like they're not making any new baseline Astartes anymore. It's all Primaris now.
Then who's going to ride the bikes?
They're just going to, tie them one to each foot and use them as giant roller skates.
Oh dear. Do the Dark Angels reuse the gene seed of the Fallen? I have to assume no.
I don't think that's been touched on, at least not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I've never seen it mentioned it. And given their absolute paranoia about the Fallen, I can't see them reusing gene seed of such traitors. I really can't.
Maybe they just say, we don't really want to keep a fucking sin as a gene seed type. Fuck it.
But then that means it gets used to recreate more Dark Angels chapters.
That's the point, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, to be honest.
Maybe they only use it in the most desperate situations or something, I don't know.
Possibly. Okay, once the Heresy books wrap up, do you think the writers would entertain, for example, covering the War in Heaven?
I don't think they're ever going to touch the War in Heaven, either of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's 2 or 3 of them. And yeah, I think there's such mythology. Like, even the Necron War in Heaven is almost entirely grounded in myth. I mean, I could see one novel in the Necron War in Heaven, maybe a little novella as the Silent King reflects on the biotransference process. Or the meeting of the Deceiver coming before the Triarch for the first time. That could be fun. But certainly not a full series.
I mean, considering how long did it take for them to even start considering, novelising the Horus Heresy, and how long has that been going on for now? Well, since 2006?
Yeah, and I think the first line about the Horus Heresy was in a White Dwarf in 1997.
Yeah, the original Horus Heresy story was from Realm of Chaos books, which were 1988?
Now you're stretching my memory of things that were older than me.
1988 is when the first details of the Horus Heresy was mentioned, but obviously that went under a lot of changes between editions. I think it was around...
there wasn't
It was around 3rd edition where they kind of nailed the key points down, and then that's what they decided to expand upon using the 3rd edition stuff. Because, it was 3rd edition because the novel Mechanicum was written with the 3rd edition Necron lore in mind.
Right.
And that's one of the earlier books in the Heresy series, so...
Yeah, and I remember seeing that there was a very famous quote in White Dwarf, like a little column box of the basic bullet points of the Horus Heresy of Horus and half of the Primarchs turned on the Emperor and it ended in the Emperor's pseudo-death. And there was there was just a little column of text that set the whole thing rolling, and I don't remember when that was first penned.
Funny enough, I know it's going to be a bad thing for Michael, but I'm mentioning Ian Watson, but there's a point to this. Yeah, desk. But, like, in the hardback versions of his books, like, there's a very brief mention of the Horus Heresy and a little bit of a timeline prior to the actual story. And this is back in, 1990 era lore. And it basically says, Horus was possessed by a demon. Because of this, he turned against the Emperor. That's, one of the earliest things we have.
Fair enough. I didn't know that.
I mean, let's be honest, I don't think many people have the hardback copies of the Ian Watson books. The fact that I do is kind of disconcerting.
That takes a special kind of mad person, I suspect.
To be honest, I got those two because they were actually cheaper than the paperback.
Fair enough.
But, if they are going to do a big series after the Horus Heresy, to be honest, it'll probably be, again, another Space Marine focus one. I can see them doing a novelization of the Badab War, because that's that's possible. Because that's the next biggest conflict, aside from the Horus Heresy, and obviously 13 Black Crusade, blah blah blah. But I can imagine them doing Badab War as Horus Heresy 2.0.
What about the Age of Apostasy and the Reign of Blood?
I would love them to do that. But I think the main fear for Games Workshop in that regard would be that'll be a lot more talky, political, as opposed to bang, shooty, gun fight.
Okay, what about the Nova Terra Interregnum?
That's always possible.
We know very little about that.
Yeah, that's always possible.
We will see, I suppose.
But I do think Badab will be the most likely. It'll probably be the safest bet for them, let's be honest.
I mean, it's basically Star Wars Episode 1 and 2. It's a trade dispute that evolves into full-scale civil war. But, that's none of my business. Okay, question. The avatars of Cain originated when Cain was, and I quote, bullied out of existence by Slaanesh and consequently split into shards. That's not quite how it went. That's a very, very solid euphemism. Since the Catan also did this, i.e. split into shards, and since the avatars of Cain seem to express no psychic abilities, hold on, I can hear you breathing to interrupt me. Is it possible that the gods of the Eldar and the Catan are similar in at least a few ways, and consequently is it possible that Cain could be in some way resurrected by the combination of all living avatars? Probably stupid, but just thought I'd ask.
I think it is worth pointing out that the only reason that the Catan were shattered is because they had physical bodies made for them by the Necron tier.
And the Necrons couldn't kill them.
Exactly. Well, actually, that's not strictly true. They killed the flayed one.
And it all went to hell.
Yes. It fucked everything up, but they managed to kill one.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Sorry, not the Flayer, the Flayer. Sorry, I know there's going to be someone pointing out in the comments, but...
Yeah, I think the fact that... What happens to a Catan shard when it's defeated? Is its essence just I know its necrodermis explodes, but is it dead, or does it just go back in the box?
I am not entirely sure. I think it might just go back in the box.
Yeah, which means if it goes back in the box, they don't work like avatars of Cain, who, when they die, they're dead.
Because I'm trying to remember the last story I read that had Catan Shard being defeated, and I think that was Sons of the Hydra, but I think they only beat the Deceiver Shard by shoving it back into a Tesseract vault.
What about, was it Damnos? That had a Catan Shard, right?
Not Fall of Damnos, it might have been the book after that, the sequel to it.
Yeah, I've heard the Reclamation of Damnos.
That's the one where the Catan got dragged into the warp via a vortex grenade.
Yep, that's cheating, so that's fine. Catan don't come up very often, and for good reason.
I think there was one in Nightbringer, but I've not read the book, so I can't comment on that one.
Yeah, but I know, I think I know, if you kill an Avatar of Cain, it's dead, right? Like, the Craft Lord is not getting another one. Or does it, regenerate?
I thought it regenerates, because, there are a few some of the major Craft Lords have had their avatars destroyed, and they've come back, 10 minutes, well, not 10 minutes later, but it came back at a later date. I think it can regrow via the Wraithbone or some, magic bullshit like that, let's be honest.
Yeah, I admit it's been a long time since I really looked into the avatars, so I can't quite remember how they work. But I think that you are right that it's not their dead.
Do you remember that time an Avatar got possessed by a Keeper of Secrets?
Yep, that was one of the most crazy things I remember reading. And I've read some crazy things about Avatars of Cain, but that one I think takes the biscuit.
Yep.
Right, moving on. Can psychic attacks penetrate a Gellar field?
No. Considering the whole point of a Gellar field is to keep out psychic entities, like demons.
Pretty much.
And keep out the warp. So I'm pretty sure that you can't penetrate them. Wasn't there a thing in Shadowbreaker, like, they invert something with a Gellar field and the Librarian couldn't use his powers to penetrate or something?
Or they couldn't use their powers whilst inside the Gellar field, and you couldn't broadcast the signal to the Hive Fleet because it was inside the field.
Yeah, so if they can't use
implying that psychic powers don't work.
So if you can't use your powers while inside a Gellar field, I imagine that, it won't be able to penetrate a Gellar field either.
In which case, I'm pretty sure I've seen fights on ships where Ahriman or some other librarian just goes to town on somebody's candy ass, but that wouldn't... I'm assuming the Tau reverse engineered it somehow.
Probably known the Tau.
Yeah, they had a radical inquisitor and it was Tau. They probably reverse engineered it. Actually, I think that was the entire point of the Black Seed project.
Right.
So, well, part of it. So yeah, fair enough, that's reverse engineering. Okay. Oh no. How does Necron chronomancy work and what can it do? God, this is a time travel question.
That's easy. It's science. We ain't got to explain shit. There you go.
The thing is, I know exactly how time travel works. I know exactly how you do it.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Now, okay, I don't know the exact science, but I know theoretically...
So are you Jules Verne in disguise or something? Are you sitting there with, your time machine sitting in your bathtub or something? No, I was told by Brian
Cox and he explained it. So,
right.
If you imagine... Oh, no, this is going to sound a bit triggering for those of you who do GCSE physics. Imagine a distance time graph. You have space and you have time. Now, obviously, you've actually got space-time, but just run with me on this. You have distance and you have time. The gradient to that graph is speed, distance over time. And when it gets to light, the gradient of that graph is the speed of light, 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. Now, you can plot this over positive and negative axes, and you get what are known as light cones. And there's 4 of them. Two of them are for speeds less than the speed of light, and 2 of them are for speeds greater than the speed of light. The 2 sections of speed less than the speed of light are the past and the future, because t equals 0 and x equals 0 is where you are right here and now. That is all that there is. That is now, and either side of that cone is the past and the present and the future. The 2 bits to the side of that cone, which is, if you think about like a giant X, the left and right is where v is greater than c, and they cross the t equals 0 line, allowing you to jump forwards and backwards in time. So how you go forwards and backwards in time is you go faster than the speed of light. And I think I just broke everybody.
Pretty much.
I should point out that is absolutely impossible because you can't travel faster than the speed of light because you need to have no mass to get to the speed of light. So how the Necrons actually do it, I don't know, but that's how you time travel. In
Ancient
theory.
space Egyptian magic.
Ancient nonsense and bending the laws of physics to your will, or possibly wormhole technology and folding space-time in and of itself and like closed time-like curves, but that has its own problems.
It's basically the same argument someone can use to suggest how does, a 9-foot-tall superhuman subsist off entirely a diet of sand?
Or blood.
Well, at least blood has more nutritional value than sand.
Yes. Basically, it is pseudoscience. It doesn't work with our current understanding of science, but theoretically, with the right amount of rule bending, it's not impossible. And that was far too much science and general relativity, and my brain hurts. So I'm going to move on now.
Fair enough.
Have you got the Ultramarines Supplement?
Yes, but not to my hand.
Okay. Well, apparently, in the 8th edition Codex for Space Marines, the captain of the Ultramarines 8th Company is Numitor, but in the supplement it's somebody else.
Wouldn't surprise me, considering, it still lists Catus Sicaris as being the 2nd Company captain, even though he got replaced.
I assume he got reinstated.
Twice. Maybe, but it seems a bit... Has there ever been an instance of, yeah, you're no longer company captain. We're promoting you to bodyguard of this guy. Is this guy taking your place? Oh, that guy's dead. You're no longer a bodyguard. We're demoting you back to company captain.
Good point. Yeah,
I mean, I know with the reason why Uriel Ventress is technically not the fourth company captain at this point is because he was sent to take his death oath. So he's captain in name only until he's, comes back or whatever. That's why there was another fourth company captain for a while.
Yeah, and the fact that there are 2 8th company captains, one of them might be the captain of the regulars, and the other might be the lieutenant commander of the Primaris side.
Are there multiple captains per company now, like one baseline, one Primaris? Is that a thing?
I feel like no, captains can just wear Gravis armor. What am I talking about? But I feel like they just added more companies. I think they just broke the codex and added more companies is all they did. So I don't know why that's happened. I assume it's because Numitor either died off screen, went missing for a bit, or they rotate the strike depending on what they need from the particular mission, because a regular captain is better suited to commanding regular Marines, whereas a Primaris captain knows better how to get the Primaris Marines to work. I don't know.
I think the simple answer is that someone fucked up.
It is possible that somebody just messed up, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that question is about the Marvel deal. We talked about that a bit already. Would constructing/transporting Blackstone pylons around the Terran Webway portal to prevent the warp tear from...
Didn't we already answer this one, like a few weeks ago?
They're saying, would this allow the Emperor to leave the Golden Throne? That's what the question's going at.
Right. Probably not, considering it's acting as a life support system.
Also that, yes, you'd have to heal the Emperor somehow, and that requires, I think, probably the Terminus decree. Okay, actually, this is interesting to talk about Necrons again. What did the Necron Bio Transference actually entail? Was it turning flesh into necrodermis and living metal? Or was it the transference of a consciousness into pre-constructed bodies?
I think it was the latter because, again, this is going from the 3rd edition codex, so take it a little bit of a pinch of salt, but the Catan said that once the Necrons were underwent the biotransference, they ate the bodies of the Necron tier, which suggested consciousness were transferred from organic to mechanical.
And it suggested with, Necron warriors that they, as the citizenry, they got a really bum deal, and that it wasn't their bodies were replaced, they were transferred, but it was such a shoddy process, which is why they have such little instinct anymore. Whereas the overlords got a much better transference, and so they maintained their personalities. Although there's a follow-up point to it. If it's just transference of consciousness and a lot of basic Necron troops have no consciousness left, then why was a biological component needed? And then they start a sentence and it doesn't expand the comments, so there's a bit missing. But they're sort of suggesting, why not just program an army of killbots instead of actually having to bother with the transference process? And the answer is to feed the Catan. Yeah.
The Catan were hungry boys. They were hungry growing boys and they needed their nourishment. They need to feed, gives them the will to survive. I kind of point out that the original Transformers movie soundtrack was fucking amazing. The original animated movie. That had such a great fucking soundtrack. All its 80s hair metal. It was brilliant.
I'll take your word for it.
Well, sorry, 80s hair metal and a Weird Al Yankovic song for some reason. I know, it's a bit of a weird mixture, but yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely weird. Okay. In a previous podcast, you talked about Dan Abnett possibly writing the Last Siege of Terror book and the Horus Emperor duel. We did that. Do you think that, since, from what this person remembers, Abnett writes just about all of the things related to Alanius Pius, that the duel will be written from Pius's perspective?
I'm not sure about it being from his perspective, but...
Because he died halfway through.
Well, yeah, that's that. But given how the Alanius Pius character has been, I'm pretty sure he's going to make an appearance, though part of me wants him just replaced with Loken.
Just so we can Loken to be the one that throws himself in the way. Pius can still throw himself in the way, but I don't really want Loken to be there for the end. I agree.
I mean, at this point, look, I've said this a million times, I'm sure, but Logan needs to be there on the Ventress just so he can bookend the entire series with the "I was there, Horus slew the Emperor" card.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely right. But what you're saying, take Elanius Pius out and replace with Loken, implies Loken's going to throw himself in the way of Horus to protect the Emperor, and that's not going to happen.
I mean, let's be honest, we don't bloody know what's going to happen, considering there's been, canonically 3 different fucking accounts of what happened. Like, the first one, it was a Terminator. The second one, it was Elanius Pius. The third one, it was just some random custodian. So we don't know what's going to bloody be.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that book whenever it comes.
Mm.
Okay, and the last question, genuinely the last question that isn't a meme. If Primaris are all that are available for the future of 40k, will that lead to there being no point in mixing and matching, say, 30k Forge World stuff with Primaris Marines? E.g., there's no point buying a Storm Eagle or a Fire Raptor because it's only regular Marines in Horus Heresy, and thus it will eventually be phased out, meaning that the only Forge World vehicles worth buying will be like the Astraeus and the Thunderhawk, because they can at least carry Primaris.
I'm pretty sure if it was the case, Games would probably find a way to justify it in law, like these are relic vehicles that have been retrofitted by the chapter's Tech Marines or something.
Oh yeah, they've got workarounds, absolutely, if they want to keep them around.
I mean, there's rules to use Horus Heresy vehicles, in 40k games that aren't in the Codex. Things like, say, Leviathan, Dreadnought, or the Glaive, or whatever. There are rules for them, and they just say, oh, they're rare relics of the chapter and only used in the most dire circumstances. Or
because they're the most OP thing in the world if you're an Iron Hands player.
Well, quite. But but if it gets to the point, like, say, 2-3 editions down the line where it's nothing but Primaris, they'll just say these are relics from an older time in the chapter's past.
Yeah, I think they certainly will consider that, because there's been a bit of debate of what's going on with Horus Heresy. I thought Kirioth make a video like what's going on with 30k right now, because it's just kind of, it's not quite, it's all gone quiet over there, but...
Oh, look, we forgot to mention they announced those new Dark Angels models.
And the White Scars Jetbike came out, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a little bit, it's all gone quiet with regards to Book 8 again.
I mean, how long ago did Malevolence come out? Because there's generally, before...
Well, the last one that came out was it, has Book 8 actually come out?
Yeah, Malevolence, yeah.
God.
That's out, yeah.
God. Yeah, that was
this year.
Was it this year?
I'm pretty sure it was this year. It was early this year.
Horus Heresy Malevolence. April.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's been 6 months? I mean, before Alan Bly passed away, we were waiting about good 2 years between, 2 years between books.
Well, there's an article from June of 2018 talking about sort of the first some more previews for Book 8. So they've been talking about Book 8 for, it was a year or so.
Yeah.
That they started building up to it.
In the past 5 years, we've had 3 books come out. At least. So you're going to be waiting probably about at least 18 months between books.
Oh no, it's been all 8 in 5 years. Because I started the channel before Angron came out, and I've been on YouTube for 5 and a bit years. Actually 5.5 years. So they've nearly dropped all 8 in those 5 years. Because I'm sure Angron came out around the same time as I started the channel.
So suffice to say, though, I think you're going to be waiting at least 18 months between books, because they are, very big books, to put it mildly.
Yeah, which would imply that we'll probably get Book 9 about this time next year.
Yeah, plus, they've also got, to do things like playtest the rules and shit as well. It's going to be a very arduous process, especially with, the fact there's I don't want to say no clear direction, but there's less of a focused direction, considering that, this was Alan Bly's baby, essentially.
Yeah.
And I don't envy the person who has to try and top his work, because that's going to be an incredibly difficult job. Let's be bloody honest.
You can't top it. You've just got to try.
You've got to try and equal it. Yeah, exactly. Because the best way to honour his memory is trying to do as good as what he would, if not better. Because I think he would probably want people to try and improve upon it. Don't go for mediocre, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds about right to me.
So I wouldn't necessarily, it's all gone quiet considering, the book only came out 6 months ago.
True. I guess I'm almost buying into the mythos of 30k is dead, long live 40k. That's wrong.
It's only been 6 months. There's still new models coming out for it. Again, new White Scars Land Speeder, new Dark Angels miniatures have just come out for it.
Yeah, and the last time we did a 2-person show was when Sanguinius was revealed.
Yeah.
And I remember that. I actually remember listening back to the episode, sat on a train from... I was on a train from Sheffield Station, going back to Manchester. So that would have been... Oh, when would that have been? June-ish? I think June-ish. Was when that will have been. So yeah, it's only been a few months. The whole Alan Blythe thing obviously did put a major spanner in 30k's workings, but I think we'll see. And as to go back to the original question, I think you've got it about right, that if Primaris is all that remains in 40k in a few years' time, fine. These vehicles will either be relics brought out on very special occasions that have been retrofitted, or they'll be straight up replaced.
Like, literally just Primaris Rhino, Primaris Predator.
I mean, isn't that just what the blooming Impulsor
is? No, literally just a Rhino, but a little bit bigger. Big enough to hold an Intercessor squad.
Yeah, possibly. We will see. That's it for questions. There was one other that I did miss, but it's a meme that I'm not going to answer, so... because it's weird and I don't understand it and I'm not even going to try to.
It's about catching las cannon beams and crushing them while eating a sandwich made of sand.
No, it's something to do with Invader Zim, so...
Oh. I don't watch Invader Zim, so I can't comment on it either.
Yeah, no point in commenting on it because I haven't got a clue. So if you have any questions for next time, do let us know in the comments with the word question, as always.
Though maybe not ones about Invader Zim, because we ain't got a clue.
We ain't got a bloody clue.
Yes, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining and to listening to us this episode. Apologize, blah, 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 for all the random cutouts, but hopefully they'll be cleared out in editing. Who knows? Depends how lazy I am.
Yeah, if it's bad editing, it's Rem's fault this time. Yeah.
I'm not well. That's my argument. I'm ill.
Now, next episode, I mentioned this in the last show that we were planning something quite, well, not huge, but definitely something a bit special for the next show.
Noteworthy.
Some of you will probably... Yeah, something noteworthy. Some of you may be aware, last week, we made a guest appearance on a podcast run by the old Podcastus co-host, Non-Queen Alexis. We actually went on her show, and you can go and watch that on their channel. But we are returning the favour, and with all going to plan, Alexis will be on the show next time.
So yeah, if you want direct any questions towards her, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below.
And if things change, then we'll just save them for the episode when we eventually get the booking sorted. So that's something to hopefully not be too much of a bait and switch. Hopefully everything stays locked in, and I'm saying this without checking my calendar. I think I've got my dates right. So yes, look forward to that. If it's not this episode coming, then it will be sometime in the not too distant future.
Yes. So until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
And this has been Tactica Imperialis.
And we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.